Should gay marriage be legal in the United States? Same-sex marriage is a subject that's highly debatable. I do not believe that it's fair to discriminate against gays for being together. People should be in a relationship with whom they desire. According to gaysandlesbians.com, people have publicly been fighting for gay rights since 1924. With gay rights being persecuted since the early 1900s, it was about time that some parts of our country are giving them their ability to freely be themselves. Being gay does not make these citizens any less American than any other person in our country. Gay activists find discrimination throughout every aspect of their life, from family to legal representatives. The equality that is written into the United States Constitution partially protects gay rights, allowing these citizens to be who they are. There is a growing trend of states in our country that are not only supporting gay rights, but also recognizing same-sex marriage as a legitimate matrimony. This is a very edgy subject for people to deal with, but it's very important for a new age issue that must be addressed. No human being on this planet should have someone else's views or will forced upon them. According to history in freedomtomarry.com, in the early 1900s, gays and lesbians led quite subdued lives and didn't see a flourish of social activity until World War II. During the war, gays and lesbians were brought together with the rest of the masses to bind together and fight. During this time, gays and lesbians found themselves needing more and more people like themselves as they traveled and met more and more soldiers. In the early parts of the 1950s, an investigation was held to see how many government officials currently holding jobs were homosexual. The findings of this investigation brought America its very first policies towards fair treatment of human rights. Throughout the 50s and 60s, more and more homosexual support groups and organizations were founded. The National Institute of Mental Health even gave grants to doctors to perform studies on homosexuality. By the 1980s, homosexuality was becoming more publicly known and accepted. The military even stopped persecuting and dishonorable discharges of gays and lesbians that were discovered in the military ranks. This is where the don't ask, don't tell policy was adopted. By this time, homosexuality is no longer being seen as an illness. It was portrayed to be, and the acknowledgement of these individuals are finally being accepted. Ever since marriage was first recognized as an institute between two people in love, it has been assumed that those two individuals were a man and a woman. Should marriage between two people of the same sex be legal.com states that marriage between two people is the strongest showing of love and devotion that a person can commit to. Marriage is meant to be a lifelong journey of love, commitment, and sharing. Although being married gives you tax breaks and benefits that are out of country's legal eye, marriage was never meant to be political. Just because throughout history marriage has been between a man and a woman does not mean that it should be bound to these limitations. Love is an expression of feelings and emotions towards another individual, which does not necessarily recognize gender. Just because a person falls in love with another member of the same sex, it doesn't make it wrong. The human heart is very hard to control when an individual falls in love, even if it is with someone that they feel they should not love. It's near impossible to affect these feelings. Most people find that the more you try to deny yourself of what you feel, the stronger these urges become. Here's a chart of the estimated support for the same-sex marriage. Unfortunately, throughout history, gay, lesbian, and transgender individuals have become met with a lot of hate and prejudice. It feels almost human nature to want to hate something so unique and different or alien from the way that the general mass feel. Just because a person feels, acts, or looks different from most people does not mean that they should be singled out or ridiculed for. GayMarriageProcon.org states that hate towards gays, lesbians, transgenders have become so many directions. From something as simple as going to lunch with your significant other can result in pure anger and frustration. Arizona had a protest in early 2014 over their governor not detailing a bill that allowed restaurants and food services to not serve lesbian and gays. The restaurants were claiming that they should not have to serve these individuals due to their own religious beliefs. What religion a person practices or believes in is for that person and should not be forced or used as a weapon towards others. Discrimination towards lesbians and gays doesn't stop here. Unfortunately, happens all too often in many workplaces around the world. 85% of Americans feel that a person should not be discriminated on for jobs based on their sexual preference, and over 60% would like to see this horrible statistic abolished all the way up through the federal level. With as open as the world has become, especially in the last few years, we can only hope that we're seeing all the hate and anger towards these individuals come to a close. The history of humanity has always been a bloodbath and attacking many people that were different. The evolution of acceptance of homosexuality has covered generations, and it has been met with hostility the entire way. FreedomToMarry.org states that the United States is currently sitting with 29 states that recognize and allow same-sex marriage and rights. There are still 21 states that have bans on the same-sex marriage and acknowledgement of rights. And here is the states that accept gay marriage. Throughout our world, there are 16 countries and 194 that recognize and allow gay marriages to join in matrimony. In the history, there has been an injustice and crime that was brought about because of same-sex marriage. Allowing humans the freedom to be who they are and choose what makes them happy is the best part of humanity. It's near impossible to say a person is right or wrong in their life decisions because of the way an individual feels about themselves.